So let's get some more practice using the product property. So remember, the product property or the product rule says that as long as the bases are the same, or the variables or the number that the exponent is on, as long as those are the same, all we have to do is add the exponents. Okay? So why don't we go ahead and take a few minutes and we'll look at our first one. So our first one is d to the third times d to the sixth. So we'll go ahead and use our blue to put our answers down. So are the variables the same? The bases are the same. They're both a d. So we're just going to add 3 plus 6. So d to the ninth. 3 plus 6 equals 9. What about our next one? We have 2 times 2 to the fourth. So in this case, it doesn't have a variable as the base. It actually has a number or a constant as the base. So how do we work that? Well, the principle still applies. These are both 2's. They're both the same. So we're just going to write this as 2 to the fifth. Now the difference between d to the ninth and 2 to the fifth is that we can actually solve 2 to the fifth. We don't know what d equals, so we can't solve it. But we know what 2 is. We can do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So if we write that out, 5 times 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So 2 to the fifth power equals 32. So you want to remember that whenever you're looking at the homework, if the base is an actual number and not a variable, go ahead and solve it. You can solve it when it is a number. When it's a variable is when you can't solve it. So on our next one, we have a to the fourth times a to the 3 times a. So again, if you want to put that little 1 there to remind you that you need to add it there as well. 4 plus 3 plus 1 equals a to the 8. So as long as the variable, as long as the base is the same, we're just adding the exponents. Now the last two might look a little tricky. So over here we have m to the x times m to the 3. X is a variable. How do we have a variable as an exponent? Well, remember what our rule is. Our rule is if the base is the same. So in this case, the base is m for both of them. So if the base is the same, we're adding the exponents. So the base is the same, we add the exponents. So to simplify this, we would just have m to the x plus 3. So we're just going to add the exponents, except we don't know what x is, so all we can do is x plus 3, because x can change depending on the situation. So our next one, look at this, we have y to the a times y to the b. Now, everything's variables. We don't have any number in this expression here. So our bases are both variables, but they are the same. So again, all we're going to do is add the exponents. So our variable is the same, our base is the same, and then add the exponents. So a plus b. So even though it might look a little bit weird in your homework, just remember that the principle still applies, whether the base is an actual number or a variable, and even if your exponents are variables. So we want to remember we're adding the exponents whenever the bases are the same.